Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night, replaying that moment when everything fell apart? That business venture that collapsed, the relationship that ended, or the career opportunity that slipped through your fingers. We've all been there, staring at the ceiling, wondering why we're so haunted by our failures when we should be looking forward. I'm curious though, what if failure isn't the enemy we make it out to be? Welcome back to the channel, where today we're diving into something that touches all of us, but that we rarely discuss openly: how to deal with failure and what philosophy, that ancient art of living well, can teach us about it. Whether you're recovering from a recent setback or carrying the weight of past disappointments, stay with me. By the end of this video, you'll discover why some of history's greatest thinkers saw failure not as something to be avoided at all costs, but as an essential part of a meaningful life. The ancient Stoics had a fascinating approach to failure that feels particularly relevant in our achievement-obsessed culture. For philosophers like Seneca and Epictetus, failure wasn't an accident or an anomaly, it was an expected part of existence. Seneca, a Roman statesman who experienced exile and political disgrace, wrote that difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. He didn't just tolerate failure, he saw it as necessary training. Think about it this way: when you're at the gym, the resistance is what builds your strength. Without that resistance, there's no growth. The Stoics viewed life setbacks in much the same way as resistance training for your character. The next time you face a failure, try asking yourself, what muscle is this building in me? What quality am I developing by facing this? Epictetus, who began life as a slave before becoming one of antiquity's most respected teachers, took this further with his dichotomy of control. He took that unhappiness comes from trying to control things beyond our power. Make the best use of what is in your power, he advised, and take the rest as it happens. This brings us to a practical exercise. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On one side, list everything about your current challenge that's within your control. On the other side, what's beyond it. Now, here's the liberating part. Cross out the entire, beyond my control column. Just eliminate it from your focus. What remains is your sphere of influence, the only territory where your energy makes a difference. Speaking of energy that makes a difference, if you're finding value in these philosophical explorations of life's real challenges, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. Each week, we examine these timeless ideas and how they can transform our modern struggles. Your subscription helps us continue creating content that goes beyond superficial advice to explore deeper wisdom. Now, let's shift to Eastern philosophy, where failure takes on yet another dimension. In Japanese culture, there's a concept called Kintsugi, the art of repairing broken pottery with gold. Rather than hiding the breaks, Kintsugi highlights them, creating something more beautiful and valuable than the original. I first encountered this idea after a particularly difficult professional setback. I had invested 2 years in a project that ultimately collapsed. During that dark period, a friend gifted me a small Kintsugi bowl. Every morning, I would hold it while drinking my coffee, viewing the golden seams under my fingertips, and it slowly transformed how I viewed my own fractures. The philosopher Alan Watts, who helped bring Eastern thought to Western audiences, explained that our fear of failure stems from seeing life as a journey toward a destination rather than a musical performance to be enjoyed in the moment. We thought of life by analogy with a journey, he said, with a pilgrimage, which had a serious purpose at the end. But we missed the point the whole way along. It was a musical thing, and you were supposed to sing or to dance while the music was being played. What if we approached our failures with this mindset? What if each setback was simply a new, unexpected note in the composition of our lives? Not a mistake to be erased, but a variation to be incorporated into the ongoing melody? Friedrich Nietzsche, though often misunderstood, offered one of philosophy's most empowering perspectives on failure with his concept of amor fati, the love of fate. Not just accepting what happens to us, but loving it. Embracing every failure, disappointment, and struggle as necessary to becoming who we are. My formula for greatness in a human being, he wrote, is amor fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity. This isn't toxic positivity or blind optimism. It's a radical acceptance that transforms how we experience our lowest moments. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" we can ask, "What is this making possible?" I saw this principle in action when I interviewed a successful entrepreneur for this channel. She described how her first company's bankruptcy led her to meet her business partner, discover an entirely new industry, and eventually build something far more aligned with her values than her original venture. "I wouldn't change that failure for anything," she told me. "It wasn't something that happened to me. It was something that happened for me." Albert Camus, the existentialist philosopher, took yet another approach to failure through his essay, The Myth of Sisyphus. He retells the Greek myth of Sisyphus, condemned by the gods to roll a boulder up a mountain for eternity, only to watch it roll back down each time he nears the summit, the ultimate image of futile effort and perpetual failure. Yet Camus finds something unexpected in this punishment, the possibility of happiness. "The struggle itself toward the heights is enough to fill a man's heart," he writes. "One must imagine Sisyphus happy." In Camus' view, meaning doesn't come from success or failure, but from how we carry ourselves in the face of life's fundamental challenges. When I face setbacks in my own life, I often think of Sisyphus not as a defeated figure, but as someone who has found dignity in his struggle. The boulder will roll down again, that's certain. The question is, how will I walk back down the mountain to begin again? As we move toward wrapping up our exploration, let's consider one final philosophical approach to failure, one that comes from the American pragmatist John Dewey. For Dewey, failure wasn't just an unfortunate event, but a crucial part of how we learn and grow. He saw all knowledge as emerging from a process of trial and error, of hypothesis and experiment. "Failure is instructive," he wrote. "The person who really thinks learns quite as much from his failures as from his successes. This perspective transforms failure from something to be avoided into valuable data, information that helps us refine our approach and deepen our understanding." So where does this leave us? What wisdom can we extract from these philosophical approaches to failure? Perhaps it's this: failure isn't something that happens instead of success. It's part of the same process. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control. The Eastern tradition shows us how to find beauty in our breaks. Nietzsche challenges us to love even our darkest moments as necessary parts of our story. Camus reminds us to find dignity in the struggle itself. And Dewey encourages us to see every failure as a lesson that moves us forward. I hope this exploration has given you a new lens through which to view your own setbacks. Remember that philosophy isn't just abstract theorizing, it's practical wisdom for living well, especially when life gets difficult. If you found value in today's discussion, please consider hitting that like button and sharing your own perspectives in the comments below. How have you made meaning from failure in your own life? What philosophical idea resonated most with you? Your insights enrich our collective understanding, and I read every comment. And if you haven't already, subscribe to join our growing community of thoughtful individuals exploring life's deepest questions together. Check the description below for ways to support the channel so we can continue creating content that goes beyond the surface to examine what truly matters. Until next time, remember what Marcus Aurelius wrote: "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Your failures aren't obstacles to your path, they are the path itself. Thank you for watching.